My first question to you, Priya, is could you describe yourself and tell us a little bit about your family, your education, and work background?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Maryland, the early years in Baltimore County, actually Catonsville, Maryland, and then our family moved to Howard County. So I went to school in Ellicott City, Centennial High School, and then I ended up going to University of Maryland for college. I stayed in La Plata Hall during my time there, where I earned a Bachelor's of Science degree. And then I ended up moving to DC. I pursued graduate studies. I did a master's in public health at George Washington University. So I spent 2 years there doing an MPH in epidemiology and biostatistics. Kind of in a nutshell, my family has sort of the same immigrant family that a lot of families have. My parents are from India. My mom is a nurse. She's retired a few years ago, but she came to the United States as a nurse, and my dad's a chemist. He worked in a pharmaceutical company here in Baltimore. And they came here, my mother came first, and then they got married, and then my father came in the 70s, so they've been here for quite a while. They're actually from a state in India called Kerala, which is on the southern part of India, where they speak a dialect called Malayalam. So we grew up listening to Malayalam, kind of responding back in English, but kind of being immersed in the Kerala traditions and culture from their state in India.
Could you please describe your relationship to the founding and growth of the Asian American Studies program at the University of Maryland?
I was at the University of Maryland between 1994 and 1998 when I graduated. I was actually heavily involved more with the Indian Students Association, with the ISA, so I was in leadership roles in that organization, and so I wasn't so much involved in the Asian American Student Union until a little bit later, in that we shared an office space at the Stamp Union, and so I became more exposed to some of the programs and things that the AASU was doing. And one thing that seemed kind of interesting to me was, at the time we had sort of a shared space there with the AASU, but also the Black Student Union, and they seemed to be sort of the larger group that had a bigger representation, I guess. And so when I looked at sort of the Asian student groups that were on campus, it seemed to be more fractured. Like there was the Chinese student group, there was a Filipino, there was the Indian, Bangladeshi, Pakistani. It was like all different groups, and so I found it really great that the Asian American Student Union was sort of the cohesive group that could bring all of those groups together. And we did a lot of activities where we would reach out to the leadership of the other student groups, whether it was the Black Student Union or the Asian American Student Union, or within the Indian Student Union, kind of get Indian Student Association, bringing them all together for events. And so if you want like specific things, I mean, what comes to my mind are sort of the times where we put together, we made posters, and we would do rallies, and we would march out to different locations on campus, whether it was in front of the Stamp Student Union or kind of walking out to where the administrators' offices were, to bring awareness. And so I kind of was inspired by a lot of the leaders at the time when I was at Maryland, to see how we could, and in fact, like some of those rallies still come to my mind. What do we want? Asian American Studies program. When do we want it? Now. Just sort of is just instilled in my brain. Just some of those rallies. So it was just, I think, bringing awareness to this issue that we saw there was a need for on campus, and being able to bring about change. So it was really exciting to know that just a couple of years later, the program started. So exciting times.
Like, did you feel like everyone around you was kind of part of the protest? Or like if you were with like sitting with a group of friends, would you say like this person, this person, this person, they were all protesting with me the other day? Like was it kind of like that? Everyone was doing it?
It was pretty cool. I mean, I must say, like there was, certainly there were the key, the leaders of the Asian Americans, student union who led it, here's where the rally is going to be, here's the time, let's all meet, that sort of thing. But, I have to say, just from what I remember, it was a pretty diverse, group of people, not just from the AASU, but, all different, students who really understood what the issue was. And so I think all of these activities just brought to light, and again, awareness that there's a need. There is a need for this program, and rightfully so. There's something that we can bring to the table when voices are heard. So I feel that I think it's so exciting just to know that after our time there that the program began. So.
How did usually like information spread, like on technological level? Like how did everyone know what to do? Was you guys end up just calling each other? Or, like
yeah, it's so funny because I guess back then it wasn't like the social media age that we're in now.
Right.
So there was no sort of Instagram and Facebook and all the other so it was more flyers. We actually put up flyers.
Right.
There, and we passed out flyers at the union. There was emails. There were telling people. There was definitely calling people. So yeah, it's a different world now. So I feel like now with a few clicks of your on your phone, it could be you can communicate.
Would you like to maybe again describe like 2 or 3 events related to the founding and growth of AAST, the Asian American Studies program, that you personally witnessed and which made a very lasting impact on you? Like 2 or 3 things.
2 or 3 things that made a really lasting impact. I'm trying to think. One of the things would be attending some of the really large scale programs that we did in the Asian American Student Union that were things like ICASU, putting together, kind of working on some of the programs when ICASU came to Maryland. Those are some of the vivid memories I have. But I think 2 classes that I remember taking that really impacted me the most were a class taught by Will on Asian American experience, and then a class that Phil taught actually that really kind of opened my eyes to some of the immigrant experiences and why it's so important to have a program that focuses on Asian American studies. Because I think that being a bio major, I took a lot of courses I needed to really get my degree, and it wasn't until the end of my time at Maryland where I was able to take some electives and look at taking Asian American Studies courses. So if I could go back, I wish I would have been able to take some additional courses, but I'm not even sure what courses were all offered at the time, but yeah. I guess my advice for future generations would be that, there is no time better than now to do something. We're at a, time in this world, I feel there are a lot of different issues that you could become involved in. So, think about what things you really care about. Where does your passion lie? Is it with helping serve underprivileged communities? Is it something you can do to help certain populations or animals or the planet. What are the things that really matter to you? Because there really is no better time than now. And so it could be something big, it could be something small. I think as long as it's something, it kind of reminds me of what Gandhi said a long time ago, kind of be the change you wish to see in the world. So if there's something you can do, be that change.